Hello there, terrible listeners, one and all. We are here. One and all.
Well, that was an interesting one.
A little flip there. We are here to begin a brand new campaign for this month, a campaign you voted for every month on Patreon at patreon.com/terriblewarriors. Patreon supporters of any amount can vote on what game we will be playing next. There is a poll out right now for you to choose which game will be out there. The first choice is Masks, the one we're playing today, and the other three I don't know yet at the time of this recording. I will come up with that tomorrow, maybe. So go check that out and get involved. So far, this is the third game in a row that we have played that you have chosen which one we are going to play, which is very exciting for me. So I cannot play these games alone. I have surrounded myself with a crack team of amazing gamers and heroes who will help return us to Halcyon City. They are also, none of them were in the original 2 runs. We are playing with all of the materials from the new games, which means we're going to ignore most of that and mostly stick to the core game anyways. And I am here returning to Terrible Warriors since Tales from the Loop. Welcome back.
Hello, it is me, Cassie D20 Love Chew.
We're gonna be seeing you there. You got a thing happening in January.
I got a thing happening. Oh my gosh, the game that I'm working on, Mecha Puppers, is going to be shown off at MagFest. I'm gonna be there at a booth.
Yeah.
With some cool stuff. We're trying to see about giving away some cool promotional things.
I should bring my field recorder down and meet up with everyone, and we'll record like on location.
That would be fun.
At MagFest. That'll be fun.
But yeah, if you're going to MagFest, come see me at my booth in the indie space. Come say hi. Come check out my game. I hope you like it.
Yeah, so Mecha Puppers is a tactical turn-based game.
It is a turn-based tactics RPG.
Yeah.
A la like
Final Fantasy Tactics,
Disgaea, that kind of thing, Fire Emblem, kind of similar situation.
But you're adorable puppers.
They're mechs that you customize, piloted by dogs. Very cute dogs.
From a planet of dogs.
There's
a whole lore that you've built in.
It's a fun time.
Yeah. It's going to be a mobile game, right?
Yeah, well, okay, so...
You don't know?
We don't know yet. We're a little bit on the fence about it because originally we were making this for mobile and now looking at
Con Bravo was on an iPad.
Yeah, we're considering whether or not we want to turn it into just a PC game, and that would mean like refactoring a whole bunch of stuff, so we're kind of still figuring all that out.
Yeah.
But we will have a very cool playable demo.
It's the wonderful, scary reality of having your development publicly open the entire time.
Yeah.
You keep changing your mind.
But you know what?
But some people like to see how the sausage is made. So.
Yeah, exactly. You get to kind of follow the developmental process.
The demolental. The
demolental.
So, figuring out how he's going to draw a demo lentil. I'm going to write down demo lentil.
Demo lentil.
I already pictured it. It's already in my head.
Please
draw this.
It's like a bean that just blows up buildings, right?
Yeah. I just picture like a big costume, like those hot dog ones with like his face coming out of it.
Peanuts aren't nuts, they're lentils.
Two
or
chains
legumes.
Of bombs.
Carrying one of those giant plunger detonators around at all times.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, man.
The demo lentil is back. This is why I bring you along, Neil.
Awesome. Neil Tavares of Neil T Tattoos, tattoo artist of the Toronto nerd scene, I suppose.
Yeah. You'll by this time next year, you will have done at least one Mecha Pupper tattoo.
Absolutely.
Oh, dude.
Yes.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Oh, it's in your head. give me some designs. We'll make it happen. Yeah.
Well, you've seen everyone here. Bree's crazy sleeves that she's got. Those are all Neil.
Ooh.
That was all Neil.
Well, okay then.
So.
Anyway,
and then I would hang out during some of those sessions and we would start talking tabletop games, and then there was all like, can I come play too? And I was like, yes, you can come play too, because I like cool people and I want to play with them at the table.
I just want all the nerd things.
It's really wonderful. They're all great.
Gather nerds, one and all.
Oh, and gathering one of those nerds who we've been playing since high school. Not to age you or anything, but he's old.
Wow, jeez.
Just an old...
One and old. That's
One
me.
and old.
Yep.
One and old is also going to be another
all right
name. One and old.
Yeah, so this is Adam Luker.
This
is
water.
my...
It's right in
This is Adam Luker here. It's my third time showing up at Terrible Wars, so I've completed the hat trick.
Yeah.
So
So that's it. Now you can retire.
I can retire.
Sick.
Go into just doing commentary episodes from now on.
Uh-huh.
You'll be doing another podcast that just reviews our episodes of the podcast.
Right.
It's like there's no reason. There's only like 300 people downloading this thing. You don't. We're not at a level that needs like the Talking Dead version of this podcast. We don't need that. But you're going to do it anyways because that's what all retired athletes need to do. Is they just end up going in.
Well, we did establish that I'm old, so I must be retired too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Makes sense.
Yeah. The
sense.
Bobby
Adds
Orr
up.
of the Terrible Warriors. And the last one you were on was our last best.
Last
hope.
best hope. Yep.
Yeah. So we last saw you killed, and then I think we still ejected your body into space
Yep.
anyways.
Yep. I'm the one that does all the voices, so I'm gonna try to keep that in check this time, maybe. Stay a bit ordinary,
Yeah.
but
So you heard it right now, the first lie of the day. And joining us for the first time on this podcast, but not his first time on a podcast, we have rummaging through sweaters in the back. I caught him off guard because now it's his turn to be introduced to the podcast. Leon, hello.
Hello. I feel like I'm always off guard.
Yeah.
Just somehow.
It'll happen.
It's not my first time on a podcast. I used to co-host a now defunct Airbud podcast, which was great. And looking at the larger world of the cinematic universe.
If you want to hear our deep cut into that whole chat, go to patreon.com, become a supporter, and listen to the pregame chat because we have already done that. We've already gone through the whole Airbud shared
You
universe.
gotta keep that. It was all
mysteries
priceless.
And
Keep it all.
Tommy Westfall and all that. Like, we don't have time. We're on the clock.
But I'm also
So much stuff.
pop culture obsessive, and I love puns.
Okay. Yes, actually,
boy.
you want to have a real good time. Become friends with Leon and then just put "Show Me First" on Facebook, and it shows up. And the number of times I have just like taken my screen and just shown it to other people, and they just look at me like I am so mad at you right now.
Why have you subjected me to
It's a
this?
blessing and a curse.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good times. And we are, like I said, we're returning to the world of masks from Magpie Games. They've got a number of new stuff coming out, which is very exciting. Go check them out. And we are, we've already selected our playbooks, and we have a couple of house cleaning things to still create some backstory on how we're together as a team and how you got to where you are and what your relationships are to the other players. So we're going to run through that this episode and then start our story in episode 2, which is normal for most of our Powered by Apocalypse games. So Cassie, you picked the Beacon.
I did.
So tell me about the Beacon.
The Beacon. You want me to tell you about the class? The Beacon?
Introduce the listener to your character.
To my character. So not the Beacon specifically, but the character
Yeah,
within
what
the
what
Beacon
does your trading
sub.
card look like?
My character, my hero name is Soul. She doesn't really have superpowers. She just really likes heroes and decided that she wanted to be one. So she, took up archery and acrobatics just so, she could be useful in some sense. But she believes that problems can be solved by just talking it out, hugging it out, just, being honest with each other and everybody's got a good side. You just got to pull it out of them and everything's going to be okay.
And we have what label did you give yourself that boost when we started?
I gave myself the label mundane.
Mundane. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So and have a look as we're going to introduce. You've got some questions here on your backstory.
Mm-hmm.
So just give it a think through, and we're going to come to you after we've said hello to the others, and then we're going to start introducing to those questions. And then each of you have a when our team first came together. So I don't want to catch you off guard when it's your turn to come around. So think about what the answer to that question is, but also the order. You can change that depending on if you want to bounce off other people's ideas. And then you have relationships. So we've got our first one here with Soul. So you'll want to remember everyone's names. We're going to be writing them down to connect you to other players at the start. And then you have a final question about your influence. So, Neil, you are playing the Janice. Introduce us to your Janice.
My Janice is the Boomerang Kid. Real name too, Aiden Asher. Little kid, 12 years old, just about rounding on 13. Has this really super awesome AI dudded up boomerang, and he has energy absorption. and he has incredible durability, bone regeneration.
Which is good because all that kinetic energy sometimes
Exactly. Yeah.
that boomerang sometimes came
That
back a little
boomerang.
bit faster than
Yeah.
it intended.
Exactly. Hits a little harder each time.
You're into it though.
Yeah.
And Adam is playing one of the new playbooks from the expansions.
Yeah, this one sounded really cool. I'm playing the Harbinger, basically a hero that's come to the present from the future. So I'm playing a character whose superhero name is Masshole. Essentially, they have the power of summoning portals.
You can control mass
Yep,
to create pockets
Portals.
in space-time to allow you to travel through portals.
you got it.
Integrate
Or
holes.
holes in mass.
Right, exactly. Hence the name Masshole.
Yeah.
Nothing weird about
You
that
get
at
a
all.
hole. You get a hole.
Yeah, you just like
just
you
the
just like
Oprah of
you just like you
holes.
just like opening up holes around and letting everyone like jump through your holes.
Yep.
Never heard the word holes so many times in a
Just-
row.
Yeah.
Oh, very popular in the future.
Yeah, and he's got such
Everybody's talking about
massive
holes all the
he has
time.
such massive holes.
Oh,
What do you
It didn't
put
start
in
that way.
anything? Put anything
Yeah.
in the hole.
Yeah, and you know you get your primary hole and then you get your secondary hole and you're like everyone into the B hole and
It's the B hole and in hole.
Aren't the B hole and the A hole essentially kind of the same thing?
yeah, I mean they're
In the future, they'd become
now
one,
you're
yeah.
thinking with portals.
Yeah.
This is the worst.
Yep.
Leon.
And so we have hero name is Wisp, and her real name is Cass Morton.
And you are playing the delinquent.
I am playing the delinquent, so a bit of a
what is
shit
that-
stirrer,
yeah,
a
What's that
troublemaker.
going to mean for us here?
I think it's going to mean a lot of fuckery.
So inside, and Neil, what was your label that you shifted up?
Right. I shifted up superior.
Superior. And Adam, your
Superior as well.
mass hole and Wisp.
Fuck, I also put up superior.
Oh, you're so superior.
no,
That's
we're
fine.
all
That's
know-it-alls.
fine. Here's the
Superior.
thing. Here's the thing. If anyone tries to push, if any of yours are maxed out, there is one downside to having your thing maxed out. Is if anyone tries to push superior again, that doesn't happen. So you take a condition instead. You're like, I can't be more superior than that. You want me to be more than that? I am now insecure. And
Don't typecast me.
so we have some questions to answer. Let's change the order around. So I'm not just putting Cassie first the whole time. Leon, we'll go in reverse. What is your backstory here? You got some questions to answer?
Sure. So, I mean, my powers, first of all.
Oh yes.
So my powers are teleportation and emotion control,
Yes.
which means I can kind of mess around with a lot of things and like just mess around in general. And so my backstory is
Your first question is how did you get your powers?
it kind of has to do with my parents. And so my parents were like human rights lawyers for indigenous peoples. And there was basically police surrounding a young black kid, and she stepped in the way and got shot when they tried to kill this child. And like the trauma of that kind of just forced me to teleport out of there, and just saw no reason to really like want to follow, like saw no justification in the law. If this is where the law gets you, then like really, what's it there for?
What's your parents' names?
Wow.
So my parents' names were.
Or do we want to roll that from our Patreon list?
Let's roll it from Patreon.
8. The Kohler family. Moritz Kohler. And
You have a last name, right?
I do have a last name. Should I change
Were
my last name?
you adopted?
oh no, we can change it. I'll just take their first names. We won't take their last names.
Okay.
around.
Okay.
We got Moritz and Michael. And what was your last name? What name did you pick?
Morton.
Morton.
Moritz Morton?
Hey, I mean, that's fine. It's got a ring to it.
Oh, I was writing that next to Masshole. I just gotta.
If you liked it, then you should have had a ring to it.
Moritz and Michael Morton, the Morton family.
Oh God, they're all M's.
Well, and if it was like it would have been Michael Morton, and then Moritz might not be their maiden name, right? So it might be a different name too. So it's Moritz Morton. Just is unfortunate.
I'll say.
And then what's is your first name an M?
No, mine's
It's a
Cass.
C.
It's Cass. Oh, Cass Morton. So they finally broke the trend.
They wrote it the wrong
They
way.
were
M
just
M
like-
M M M M M M C M.
It's just like, we just can't do this anymore. That's too much.
So so you witnessed this this trauma, this murder, this.
And this murder of my mother, and so I just mother?
It wasn't your mother.
Like it
was a what were
Well,
you?
so it was that my mother was shielding this black child that was going to be shot by police.
And you teleported away.
Out of just like something broken, I teleported away, and then just like lost all interest in like the actual system, like police system and stuff like that, and noticed my powers.
Okay, right. And you got the next question there. That's how you found you had your powers. What do you do for fun?
Oh, sorry, and I guess what do I do for fun? I am a delinquent. I like to stir shit. Whether it's like petty thievery or just like trying to make things difficult for other people. I have mood manipulation or like emotion manipulation. So
You don't
I
have to
often,
steal anything because people just keep giving you complimentary samples.
and I just kind of feel like I can get away with anything. That like the laws as they stand don't apply to me.
Yeah. Manipulate. And
Which is kind of what I
and
tend
that's
to
just
do
kind
for
of fun
fun.
for you. Is just
Yeah.
like playing with people and their moods.
And at the same time, like things kind of don't have the stakes in the same way that they would have because I can manipulate things. So it's like I can do this, but it doesn't really mean a lot to me. And so I'm like trying to find meaning too.
Who outside the team thinks better of you than you do?
I think my father, who's left remaining, is like the only person who I would never use my powers on, and the person who believes in like the good in me, even though nobody I don't necessarily believe in the good in me.
Mm-hmm. And why do you try to be a hero then?
Because no matter what I do, and no matter how much shit I try and stir and things I try and mess up, like something still pulls inside of me, and I don't understand it. That even though I don't necessarily believe in the law as it's written and whatnot, like just something stops me from like just being a villain. Like I still feel this calling to do the right thing from time to time, and I don't know why.
It's this bit of like no one else is going to do a better job than you can because the whole system is failing everyone.
Yep.
So you might as well at least.
And if I'm going to do
Step
good,
up.
it's not going to be within like the strict laws of the system because they seem arbitrary to me.
And so just your mother's dead.
Yep.
Yes.
Sorry, Patreon.
Sorry, Moritz. Hey, you know what?
It happens.
It's a comic book, and we all know, like, just like was it? Uncle
Ben?
Uncle Ben might be dead, but that doesn't mean his name isn't one of the most powerfully branded names in Marvel's history.
Yep.
Why do you care about this team? Well, we haven't met any of them yet, but either way, why do you care about this team? The Beacon, the Harbinger, the Janus.
I mean, they provide me an outlet to do something and fulfill, like, to try and find something that means anything, right? Like giving these opportunities that otherwise I wouldn't have to be like, I can be in the midst of something and like maybe that'll ignite something in me. Like it feels like my last kind of hope for, maybe finding meaning.
Okay, we'll ask here when our team first came together after we've answered these other questions. So Adam, you have your Harbinger. I feel like I want to hold on to the Harbinger.
Yeah,
Here,
that's because it kind of depends
because
on
of their
yeah.
because I feel like maybe this team was established and then you kind of popped
Yes,
in from
exactly.
your timeline.
I was kind of hoping that myself, so that's great.
So then we'll skip over to Neil. You're Janice. You've got a couple of questions. I don't have them in front of me right now.
Yeah.
I
got. When did you put on your mask? First put on your mask, and why?
Mm-hmm.
For him, since he's still real young, I feel like it was like a year ago, 11 years old. Especially since he's a kid, I see it just as a simple bullying, and he was bullied and used his kind of like smarts and know-how to make the bully look silly. But then he saw a bigger bully in the sense of some sort of criminal, some sort of superpower or something like that. Just laying waste to all kinds of things, and he's like, those are the kind of bullies I gotta stop. I can't just go for these little schoolyard bullies. Why do you keep your secret identity? Being a young little kid, I think he wants to be judged off of his accomplishments and his intelligence.
I don't want you to move on without me. I was just flipping to the page here.
That's fine.
And I was like, I can still listen while he's talking. No, I can't.
Okay. There it is.
Why
There you
is it?
go.
Is it not? Oh my god. This is oh right. They did it in a second printing where they put the playbooks into the rule book.
No.
They're not actually here.
Oh.
They just have a page describing the Janus, but they don't have their playbooks in here. Okay. So screw it. I'll just have to listen. All right. So when did you first put on that mask?
I put it on when he was 11 because he's a 12-year-old kid. So.
And why?
Wowie.
Why did you first put on a mask?
As I was saying, he put it on because he had been bullied, and
There we go.
he'd been bullied, and he used his kind of like skill and know-how to make the bully look silly, and then started seeing some of the supervillains and stuff like that, and realized that these bullies of the schoolyard are small potatoes, and he needs to really stop the big ones.
So why do you keep a secret identity?
He keeps a secret identity because he wants to be proved off of his accomplishments. He doesn't want to be looked at as a kid. Being so young, he always gets... I see like all of the villains kind of looking at him and being like, what are you, a child? And
Yes.
him just being like, you know what, forget it. I'm just makes a mess of them kind of thing.
Yeah, so whenever anyone does find out your identity, it's like you're just a kid. This is wrong.
Yeah.
Who outside the team then knows about your dual identity?
I see it as like it was one of his teachers back in school when he went to regular kid school.
As opposed to
Regular.
Sky High.
Sky High, yeah, exactly.
Who thinks? Well, and this teacher would have been the one who's like, "You've got powers. You've got this other life. We're gonna get you into Phoenix Academy."
Right.
And sponsored you and got you in, and that's how you're able to get in without your parents knowing,
Yes.
which is ethically dubious.
It's okay. His dad's a night shift doctor, so he's working while his son gets to do all the crime
and
fighting.
sees Boomerang Kid there on the news sometimes.
Wow, what a kid!
Yeah, until you get hurt that one time, have to go to ER and see him.
I see
Well,
his
and
dad
this is
almost
a
being
program-
like a J. Jonah Jameson. Like he doesn't hate supers, but he doesn't
and Phoenix
like
Academy
them much.
can work clandestinely because they had such an issue of kids taking on alternate identities. This is like, we're going to train them, and then before you're actually out there as like a professional hero, there will have to be like a moment where you'll have to let your parents know, or we keep training you until you can make that decision for yourself. So who thinks the worst of your masked identity? So we're not talking about your what's your real name?
Aiden Asher.
Aiden Asher. And what's your dad's name? The doctor.
Roll
for it.
I'm gonna call him Aaron because
Aaron Asher.
Aaron Asher. Yeah.
Sounds like a heartthrob, like a teen heartthrob in the
Yeah,
90s.
it's actually right. It does.
Was that one of the Backstreet Boys?
I don't know, or like Saved
He
by the
had,
Bell.
he had a brief stint in the 60s as a TV doctor.
I like that. I like that.
So
a
he
lot.
does have like, people know about Dr. Aaron Asher.
I'll
That's
accept
such a
this.
good
I'll
name.
accept this.
Dr. Sexy Doctor.
Yeah.
Who thinks the worst of your
I
masked
think, to
identity?
be honest, I think just to add that extra fun bit, it'll be the dad. I think the dad, he accepts supers because it's a thing of this world, but he really feels that like people should be making the difference.
So Dad Jonah Jameson.
Yeah,
Dad Jonah
Jameson.
Jameson.
And maybe not necessarily him, but because he doesn't like supers in general.
He doesn't like supers, but he wants photos of Spider-Man, goddammit.
Give me
Give me
more.
photos of Boomerang Kid. Why do you care about this team?
I feel like he knows that this team is something that can help him achieve what he wants to the best way possible. He knows that he can do a lot of the good saving and all the good work on his own, but it's going to be not even remotely as effective.
Yeah.
He needs a team to kind of make sure that it's being done the right way.
We have the Beacon next.
Hello.
Hello. So, your Beacon is a hero named Soul. Have you come up with a real name yet?
Yeah.
Yeah?
So my real name is Larissa Prince.
Larissa
Thank
Prince.
you to patron Stephen Prince. I borrowed your last
He's a
name.
good salty boy.
Our favorites. Well,
No, our favorite
one
salty
of, one
is
of, one
the
of my
Salt Lick
favorite
Kid.
salty boys.
Salt Lick Kid. No one calls you that. I really, if we go back to Dogs in the Vineyard next month, I need to come up with the Salt Lick Kid successor. The person that's just gonna be like, ugh,
Man,
can't wait to just
Fuck
shoot
that
you
guy.
dead in the final moment.
he was the worst.
So Beacon, you don't have any superpowers,
I
but
do
you do
not have
have
any superpowers.
skills.
I do have
You got skills.
Skills to pay them bills.
With a Z. How did you get your skills?
I got them through training. Like, I took classes, essentially. Just sort of like classes in archery and in I guess acrobatics would be kind of like I took some like gymnastic classes. It was just like I can do flips and stuff.
It's
like, whoa,
YouTube
look,
tutorials.
I'm so cool. Wow. Yeah. YouTube tutorials.
Play a lot of Assassin's Creed.
Watch
Really
all them
into-
parkour videos.
Yeah.
Parkour videos. Yeah, no, I took a bunch of classes and like spend a lot of time in like one of those parkour gyms and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
So does that
Your
mean
background is training montages?
yeah,
Or flash dance plays? Like flash dances?
both of those things.
so this was something then that you really you wanted and you were planning for. Like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this, but I'm going to have to work for it and I have to pay for it and
Yep.
and put in all this time and energy. Where some of these others, they just have like the delinquent didn't do anything to
Yeah.
be their character. They just are.
Yeah.
Right. And
But, like,
and
instead of
even to a
being-
degree, as much of an inventive person as Boomerang Kid is, they still had a bit of like just a natural savantness that didn't
Yeah.
they didn't have to go to school to learn how to do what they were doing. They just knew how to do it.
Yeah, and Larissa kind of, instead of being all like kind of bitter about it, she's just like kind of like in awe. She's fascinated. She's like, "Wow, you got that? That's so cool. Can you show me the thing? That's awesome!" Like,
We were talking between the pregame and this episode about Midoriya from My Hero Academia has a book
Yeah.
that he keeps of all the stats and numbers and rankings of all the like pro heroes and like how they might match up against each other. And
yeah,
Larissa's sounding a little bit like that kind of a
Yeah.
superhero otaku.
yeah, a little bit of that, or a little bit of KO from OKKO as
Yeah.
well. He's very much like, "Oh, I gotta get that hero's trading card," and like he lives in like a town where like literally everybody is heroes.
Yeah.
So he's just like,
You're just walking
Like
around
getting-
Halcyon being like, this is the best. Look there's a rampaging monster in the street. Go get him.
yeah.
I'm going to do that.
Right, so he's just like collecting trading cards of like people who are just in town.
Yeah. So when did you first put on your costume?
so
And what does your costume
sometime-
look like again?
So my costume, if you think of like it's like a little bit of like a kind of short kind of spandex like bodycon dress, kind of like what Starfire wears in like Teen Titans kind of thing. And it's like purple with a gold trim and like a big red heart in the middle of the chest.
Love it.
And like a big like pink scarf. But yeah, so she first put on her costume like after she'd like taken a bunch of training, and she's like, I'm ready, I gotta find somebody to help. And suddenly it's like she hears like a small child like, help, my kitten is stuck in the tree. And she's like, I can help with that. She puts on the costume and like acrobats her way up the tree and then gets the kitten back down.
Nice.
So that's the first time she put it on.
Yeah, all those parkours, it really worked.
All those parkours. Hardcore
So
parkour.
who outside of the team thinks that you shouldn't be a superhero?
Kind of almost basically everyone.
Everyone who trained you, for sure. Like you're there in the gym, maybe working
Yeah.
with a trainer, going like, no, this is good to have, but
But like,
don't.
it's like, you're too soft. Like, yeah, and it's just like, I guess.
But in particular,
Everybody
let's
doubts my
invent
ability kind of
one
thing.
NPC though who really like doubts the loudest.
Sure.
Want me to roll a number?
Yeah.
Another D6 there.
Let's do it. Roll me an NPC.
I have a. Actually, I already rolled that number, so I'm gonna move up. Is another hero then? It'll be the Silver Wolf.
Oh man.
who's like this animal themed hero.
Yeah.
And wears like let's just go with wolf pelts. Let's just like go for it.
Wolf pelts.
With a wolf
Like a head on
Yeah.
and stuff,
Yeah.
and it's really problematic. And
Yeah.
and Silver Wolf is another like acrobatic kind of hero, and maybe one of these like kitten rescues. You're out there later on, and there's this just like shove out of the way, kid. You shouldn't be here. You have no powers, no abilities, no power set, and you're
Yeah.
getting in my way,
Yeah.
and you're gonna put us all in danger.
You're just being a jerk. Just a
Yeah.
big old jerk.
And so you have one of the adult heroes who's not like overpowered, like he's definitely one of those like dealing with street crime like the Netflix Marvel heroes, who's getting like there is no room for you, bystander.
Yeah.
And actually he keeps
like, what are you
referring
doing,
keeps
kid?
referring to you
Like-
as bystander.
Yeah.
Out of the way, bystander.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's I feel like that's a cuss
so-
word for a hero.
Yeah.
Oh man, but Soul is the kind of hero who's just like, you know what? We're gonna be friends one day. It'll be fine.
Naive to the end. Why do you try to be a hero?
Because she sees all of the bad things and all of the hurt in the world and just wants to fix it.
Awesome.
So wholesome.
And then the last question: why do you care about this team?
Because they're my friends. And we're trying to do this good stuff
Friendship
together.
is magic.
My Little Pony.
So we had this pink bubblegum of wholesomeness in this room of very like low key, dark color schemed characters.
Oh my
Except
God,
for
my
Boomerang
character's
Kid.
Kirby.
He's got a lot of colors going on.
I feel like he's got a little bit, got a
There's
little
this
bit
whole
of
bit where
sparkliness
like
to him.
the fans who read this comic are going like, there was this bit where they're like, we really need to get this other audience to listen in. So let's make
Are you saying she's the Poochie?
or it's just like the when they brought in Chekhov into the original Star Trek into season 2, it was because there wasn't enough young people watching the show, so they got this 16-year-old to be on the bridge of the Enterprise. That's what Chekhov was supposed to be, like the young teen heartthrob on the show. Make no sense. So that was the reason
so-
they put Chekhov in, was to put a youthful energy into the
Okay.
show.
So Proto Wesley.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, neither of those work. And then last but not least, we have our Harbinger. Sure. If you want to pass that
Reaching
over.
over.
to
Oh,
me.
I have them all on there actually.
Yeah, I won't find it.
Okay.
Take this
Give that
technology away from me. Thank you. So, how did you travel from the future to the present day? Because the Harbinger is from the future. We described in our pregame. You're from the future and you know how things turn out. You came back with a mission to make sure that history changes for the better. But things are scrambled. Your memory is not quite right. You're not sure how this present becomes your future. So until you can figure it out, you might as well do what good you can, where you can, all the while trying to connect the dots between your world and this one. So how did Masshole travel from the future to the present day?
Masshole was basically swept up in a dark matter hurricane. So out of his control, he is in the past, essentially.
What keeps you from returning to the future?
The fact that it's
It was out of your control.
It's out of my control. Yeah, it was a solar event.
Perfect. Why are your memories and knowledge of the future scrambled?
When Masshole came back to the past, he basically had to recompile himself. Like he was not how he left, essentially, and basically the physical body is now back together, but mentally things are still kind of having to work their way back into their pieces.
What is the most important part of your future that you want to avert?
So the whole idea, I think, with this character is that there's the future is not very nice. So the concept I kind of came up with Masshole is basically there's a global blackout in the future. There's no electricity, as if like a large EMP or some natural event happened where there's no electricity. Basically, it's like the Stone Age again. So basically coming back into the past maybe to hopefully prevent that from happening.
Why must you join this team specifically to achieve your mission's goals? You're the only one who doesn't get the why do I care about this team. This is why do you care about this team, but what is the reason?
What I think is kind of cool about the team that has been being put together here, it seems like they're not standard like punch 'em ups kind of. Everybody seems like they're smart and caring and that sort of thing.
Even the delinquent,
Even
they just won't admit it.
Right. So I think it's maybe a situation where Masshole realizes, like, well,
History
violence is not
recalls
gonna.
this was a trio.
Yeah.
And now Massholes come in and make it a 4-person team.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think this team seems to think differently than a regular superhero team.
They'll
from what I'm
break
kinda
the
gathering.
cycle.
Yeah. So I think maybe, with this team in particular, because they're so unique, this might be,
So
keep this together.
When our team first came together, we averted disaster from the future's history books. What was the disaster? What effect do we hope it had on the timeline? So we're starting with you on this question and letting everyone else fill in from it.
Yeah.
So when our team first came together, so this is also like how you potentially introduced yourself to this trio. You averted disaster from the future's history books.
Yeah.
So was it a dark and stormy night?
I don't know. I'm willing. If anybody at the table has some idea of some kind of situation that had popped up that needed solving? Does anybody have anything in mind? What was the crisis that brought us together? Does anybody have anything?
I mean, movies really love like big sky holes.
Okay.
So it could be some sort of like sky hole that needs fix. I mean, it was in Justice League, it was in Avengers.
Right. Yeah.
It could be some sort of threat coming from above a city, and we're like, we can do it.
What if the storm that brought you back was one of other storms that were like coming into our timeline that created that future, and you just simply being here and the disaster being your arrival, but their rescue of you?
That sounds great.
Right? And that's sort of, you're able to already stop one of these storms, right, from creating the effect. And you're just hoping that, like, if you just plug enough of these holes, then the energy crisis that is in your future might not happen. And that's like the best idea you've got right now.
Yeah. That sounds great. So essentially his own arrival.
Because since your arrival was out of your control, what if that storm was always going to happen?
Exactly.
You just going back wasn't.
Right. Yeah, no, I think that sounds great.
So then moving to Cassie, you have, when our team first came together, the beacon, we found signs. I should do these in order of this list. So the Janus, when our team first came together, we saved the life of someone important, either to the city or to us. Who was it, and why are they important? So there was this big storm, this dark matter hurricane that opened up a sky hole, and that's where our Harbinger falling out, also like recompiling, like phasing in, and like it was maybe not entirely lucid at the time, and there's like weird futuristic impossible clothing,
globular mats,
and you were able to work together, the three of you, to patch up this tear and prevent real disaster from happening. And meanwhile, you saved someone's life, someone important, either to us, to you, or to the city as a whole. Who did you save?
I mean, I'm coming up mostly blank with the exception of maybe some sort of like mayor or something of that particular town.
We have a number of characters we've invented now. Your dad, Aaron Asher, Silver Wolf, the superhero with a chip on their shoulder, the teacher that we haven't named yet that got you into Phoenix Academy. Did this happen at the Academy? Michael Morton, the Wisp's father, and the lawyer. Still a lawyer?
Still a lawyer. And Masshole doesn't have anyone.
No, they stayed behind.
So we got a couple of NPCs already that have been invented that we could have saved one of those, or we can bring in someone new as well. That teacher we never named. We should give them a name. The one who's got your back.
We'll call her. I'll go after You want to roll for one, or I
Always
can make
wanna
up
roll.
one?
I'm always up for that. 13. Amos is the last name, and Robert Amos is the full name.
Okay.
Professor Amos, teacher Robert Amos. Does that
Sounds
work?
good. That sounds good
Robert
to me.
Amos?
Maybe it was one of those situations. Maybe he saved the life of his own. Yeah, maybe he saved the life of his own.
Stop falling debris.
Yeah.
Give me any of those.
Maybe he saved the life of his own kind of teacher, and it was witnessed, kind of a thing. Or no, because we're supposed to be an established team at this point, right? Could have just been in that simple area.
I think this is like our forming
No, this
moment.
was when our team first came together,
Oh,
right? This
okay.
was the moment that
So, yeah,
established
so that could
your
be
team,
it
right?
then.
This is where you first met the Harbinger, and you all kind of worked together for like, hey, we're a good team. We
Yeah.
should stick together after this.
Maybe it was
This
like in the main heart of like a large city. The teacher kind of was with Aiden at
Doing
like
on a field trip.
Yeah, like a field
friggin-
trip, and he's like, you got to be better about this, and I think we got a lot of options, and sky hole.
Yeah, and you pull out your boomerang and you toss it
Yeah.
and knock some like live wires.
Some
out
stuff
of the
around a
way.
big, huge kind of like thing is about to fall on. Use the kinetic energy to ricochet it off away from his teacher. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Love that. And so you saved the teacher's life, the one who's vouching for you. It's like, see, this is why
Yep.
you're going to be great at what you do. The delinquent. However, we totally broke some rules to win the fight. What rules did we break? Whose rules were they?
Fuck.
So your class is on a field trip when a dark matter hurricane portal hole opens up, and a real mass hole just falls from the sky, and in the process, the boomerang kid like pushes the teacher out of the way or stops some debris and saves their life, and Robert Amos is there, and this thing is opening up though, and there's just like the ceiling is falling and the T-Rex is going over, and it's just because all of our opening origin stories always happen at the Museum of Natural History, and so it's
There we go.
things are going down now, and there's the janitor, probably cameo by Stan Lee, and it was oh no, not again, as the ceiling's coming down, and it's where in order to save the day though, we had to break some rules. What were they, and whose rules were they?
So I'm gonna think there's like I'm very like anti-authoritarian and that kind of thing. Maybe in order to save them, like had to like teleport a civic monument kind of thing, or something of like that the city was really invested in as part of their civic pride, and had to use that to divert like this explosion from the storm and whatnot to save the life. And so like in doing so,
Like some sort of
undermining-
monument,
Yeah.
just to completely destroy
Oh,
it.
so
That
there's a
sounds
whole
so
lot
good.
of property damage.
Yeah.
but basically of something that like meant a lot to the city, to a lot of people, and Footy was kind of like, hey, how about I can fuck you at the same time?
Do you want to use like one of like the original heroes of the city or something like that?
Oh, that'd be good. Like some, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it was there was like the first hero.
There we go.
Here we are. Another. See, none of these are really names, so I'm just gonna go right to Quad, Captain Quad, and it was Captain Quad's like helmet and shield, and like original cape, and it was
it's
all
like a Captain
preserved.
America type
and it was
character?
all kind of there, kind of like the way the Star Spangled Banner is preserved in that real cool dark room at the Smithsonian, and it's there, and you just like sucked the whole room up and away.
It's like the equivalent of burning a flag.
yeah.
Oh,
And-
shit.
Yeah, but to
Wow.
like make room for people to escape and get out. It's like, we don't need this. Just like threw it away. We're like, what? Huh? There, we got an escape. We got an emergency exit.
I like it.
Very good.
And so then last, we have the beacon in our list. The first time our team got together, we found signs that this incident was just the start of something bigger. Well, that actually worked out really well. What were the
yeah.
signs?
The appearance of Masshole. He was there. He came back or he came here and was just like, something really terrible is going to happen, and we need to do something about it. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I kind of like these dark matter hurricanes. Now it's almost. You ever watch Fringe? And all the Fringe events start happening on the other side, and it's like, and whenever there's like they're like black holes appearing in the Hudson Bay, and there's like it's going to destroy our world one day. It's going to rip everything apart.
Like your YouTube threads on how to like do your skills and stuff. You found some that were like weird kind of anomalies. You're like, well, I guess I'll watch a couple of those in between my parkour videos.
You ended up getting, your answer worked out in that it just threaded very neatly into everyone's backstory. But like as the beacon, I mean, you're not a dull knife in the drawer here. You're like this isn't the first storm, and it's not going to be the last. And there's something bigger is coming, and I guess
He
we
was
got
the
that
proof.
sign right there.
Yep.
Storm is coming.
So storms are coming.
Storm from X-Men's coming. Whoa.
So cool. That's such
Neato.
a good progressive move.
Don't look at me. I haven't connected my legs back to my body yet.
So now, to wrap up this episode, relationships. Each of you has a connection to another, to at least two other players here at the table. So Neil, we'll start with you first. You have just read out what your lines are.
We got that one. So the relationship. So yeah. So this person knew the civilian life first. I picked Soul, actually.
Yeah.
I picked Laura.
The empathy. You're like, you can see right through the mask. You're very good at piercing someone's mask and going like, oh hey, we're in class together.
Wait, you're that little weird kid, aren't you?
Don't tell anybody.
Get away.
Stop.
Get away! You don't know me.
Yeah. And you refused to tell Wisp your secret identity when they asked. Because I feel like you being that delinquent, he doesn't trust you all that
Yeah,
much.
you just end up posting it on Reddit.
Yeah. He's like, this girl means
Identity of
mean
Boomerang
things.
Kid revealed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you would like maybe you keep like trolling Dr. Asher with fake tips and pictures of Boomerang's whereabouts and stuff. Like, bring me pictures of Boomerang. He's starting like this foundation, this fund to like bring Boomerang Kid to justice.
Sends it, he has them
And
like
so I'm, like,
CC'd in
profiting
the
on the side.
emails. Yeah. CC'd in like emails. You have a blog.
Well, you know how like Peter Parker kind of sells pictures of himself to
Yep.
J. Joe Jameson? Well, Boomerang's not doing that, but Wisp is.
Totally taking advantage.
It's a market opportunity.
If you don't, I will.
Like the
Great.
National Enquirer. Is he really a
So,
child?
Delinquent, what's your relationship statements here?
So you keep trying to impress. I think I'm actually gonna keep trying to impress
Soul.
Soul. If because there's something that's kind of pure about
Prince
Soul,
of Soul.
The princess.
and like despite all my like delinquency and like
Yeah.
shit disturbing and that kind of thing, like that part of me kind of wants to do good, you know, and I see someone so fully embody that, and it pisses me off, but I can't help but kind of want a little bit of that for myself. I want to understand what it's like to be that like pure and forthcoming.
And what is the second line?
So you and Masshole pulled an awesome, if illegal, stunt together. Well, that was the teleporting and like disposing of the civic.
Oh, well, then
Sure.
since
I think
then,
that
now
makes
you just
sense,
keep
yeah.
doing that.
Oh,
now
yeah,
you just
Yeah.
like you don't have any
I have no
idea of like
context. Yeah.
social
You don't
laws
care.
and all this,
Yeah.
and you're just taking like, oh yeah, in 2018 you can absolutely just move parked cars with portals all the time. That's
Yeah.
okay.
But also, like, because my parents were like indigenous rights lawyers, I've got this whole thing about like, we need to pull down the monuments.
Okay, love it.
Oh, I like that. I like
Love it,
that.
love it. That's awesome.
And yeah, and you just don't have the social
No, I
context
don't-
of
yeah, I
what
have
you're
no
getting
context
involved
for any
in.
of this,
Like
so
as
I'm
far
like,
as you're
yeah, I'll help you
concerned,
out.
Wisp
Sure, yeah,
is
whatever.
absolutely
Sure thing,
like
That's
above board.
excellent.
Like you're such a model citizen, Wisp.
You do such great things.
Who,
Wow.
me? Little old me?
So then moving then into Harbinger, what are your relationship questions?
My first question is: blank turns away from the hero's path according to your history books. You have to prevent that from happening. I think it's such a perfect fit for Soul to be that person. So in the future, the way I know Soul is that you aren't this hero, which I think works so great because you're so of this team.
So
you are the most
You're
heroic
actually
of
taking the
anybody.
innocent playbook, but flipping it around there, where
Kind of.
like Soul's future isn't what Soul thinks it's going to be.
that's
Right.
so
That's
cool.
really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah.
There's that bit when you and you don't remember much from your future.
No.
But when you first met Soul, you were afraid. Like, oh God, I'm meeting like Voldemort when he was Tom Riddle, right? And there's this and everyone else is like,
it.
Soul?
Exactly.
Her?
That is so good.
that sweet little like pink puff cake is gonna. No, you're wrong, Harvard. like, sorry, masshole. You got the wrong person. You're like,
No, I got to keep her on the path. I got to make sure she follows through.
interesting. So a little side eye.
Yeah. And the second one is you've always idolized blank, but it's too awkward to admit it to them now that you've met them in real life. Keep it cool. Keep it cool. I'm going to choose the Boomerang Kid for this because, as I said, the future that Maxwell is used to, electronics don't exist. So seeing you, it's like, oh my God, like you are, electricity and
That's
technology and everything.
Yeah,
Like,
there's. But
it's-
also, I imagine in your future, because you do have this like impossible outfit and stuff and powers, that superpowers have filled in the gap
I
of the
think
loss
so.
of technology,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
So without any like industry and electricity and technology, you have people using their powers to sustain and provide and
Yep.
still have a society, but it's all powers now.
Yes, exactly.
And it's almost like it's kind of like Dungeons and Dragons 4th edition with like floating crystals and crap. Now. It's just,
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Boomerang Kid's just the bee's knees, but I can't admit it. Also, he's probably younger than me too, so it's kind of weird if I'm like,
but time travel though,
Yeah.
you're also like 1,000 years
Yeah.
yet to be born,
Yep.
so you're definitely younger than all of them. So, cool. I like. I've got this whole map here. I'm gonna start making some quick dots. I'm gonna connect between episodes. The last bit you have here is a question about influence.
We didn't get to my relationships.
Oh yes, we didn't. Yeah, you're right. Right. Sorry, we're just doing them out of order. Beacon, you have 2 relationship questions.
So the first one is
You're just involved in so many of them that
Yeah, for sure. So I think someone is awesome, and I take every chance I get to hang out with them, and that person is Boomerang Kid.
Of course it is. Yeah, it is.
Because I'm just so like fascinated with like, oh man, you're so young, but you're so wow, so talented, so smart. Whoa, like.
So you got this little fan group going on here between between Masshole and Soul. Mass Soul. Just
Is that their shipping?
that's their ship
Oh,
name.
no.
Oh no, it's done. It's canon. The internet's gonna have it.
Oh man.
Both being like, show us their cool invention, and you're like, I got this little robot raven that I made last night. Oh, it's so great. That's great. And what's your second sentence?
And then the other one is I have to prove myself to someone before I can feel like a real hero. And that person is Wisp.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, because
It
it's
could
just
also be
like
Silverwolf. You are allowed to connect them to NPCs if you want to, but I do love that you've all
Yeah.
connected to other players.
no, for sure. I think Wisp is a good fit because like Wisp is like I don't know. I imagine that because of the way she's kind of like, oh, I wish that I could have a little bit of that. She's like kind of a jerk to me, and she's just and
So you keep trying to impress
yeah.
the Beacon, and the Beacon is, what was the exact phrasing?
You've got to prove
You've
yourself
got to keep
Wisp
proving. So it's like
before you can feel like a real
I'm
hero.
on this pedestal now, so I have to like earn this expectation that Wisp keeps trying to impress upon me.
And I would never admit either. Like, obviously, I would never admit that like I'd look up to you in any way, or that like I'm trying to like impress you with my
Well, you
antics.
see,
Like,
it's-
too proud.
As an observer, you seem to be someone who has, you've got these powers, you got these things, and you see a society collapsing, and then you see this other person who has no powers and is choosing all of this stuff for the right reasons in a society that seems to be driven, eventually will be entirely driven by people with powers, not without. That some of these heroes don't really like, they're not in it for the right reasons. They're just in it because they shoot lasers out of their eyes. So that's just, you're going to be a hero now. And or you can fly, so obviously you're going to be a hero now. And if you get something flashy, you become a hero. But that doesn't make you a hero. That just makes you someone who can fly. And so it kind of, the whole system gets kind of corrupted from that pride. Soul isn't bringing any of that. Soul is training and working hard and wants to be in it. And you're like, oh, okay. This
sure
might
probably-
actually redeem your faith in humanity.
I'm sure it probably reminds me of my parents and my dead mother.
100%. Yeah, totally.
Oh no, you got the maternal mother they never had. Mommy
that
issues. Mommy issues.
We're like the same age.
That doesn't matter. It's all about.
I'm emotionally stunted.
Yeah, exactly. You're Bruce Wayne here. It's yeah. Every person Bruce Wayne ever dates is just trying to fill the gap of I didn't have parents.
Martha.
Where did you learn that name?
I understand English.
Okay. We have the influence last step, and then check off your moves, and then we're done. Beacon, you've been going last a lot, so I'll let you go first here.
Cool. So under influence, it says you are so excited to be here. Give influence over you to 3 of your teammates. And I
Oh.
only have 3 teammates.
Excellent. So
So-
everyone, just you got a little blank space on your playbook. Just write down that you do have anywhere, just so you know you have influence over Soul. And it doesn't stack. There's no points. Monster Hearts and a few others, you collect strings. You can collect more than one. This is you either have it or you don't. You do. So you do have a basic move where you can use your influence. You can cash that in to shift Soul's stats around now that you have it. So all of you already have the ability to influence Soul, which makes sense for the Beacon. The Beacon should, be influenced by the other people who have powers. Neil.
You look up to your teammates. They seem to have the superhero thing figured out. Give 2 of them influence over you. I chose, being the 2 that have superpowers, Wisp and Masshole.
Sorry, what was the phrase again?
You look up to your teammates. They seem to have this superhero thing figured out. Give 2 of them influence over you. And I'm kind of thinking of that scene where they, ripped a hole in the, museum kind of thing.
They're very
wow,
flashy.
I just saved a person. You got a whole bunch out.
Yeah, they're very Silver Agey in terms of their power use. It's pretty great. And I was just looking over at our Discord channel right now. I like to think Captain Quad uses super mathematics as his power.
Oh man, that would be so good.
Well, and also obviously everything was the quadcopter and the quad cycle and the quad cave, and it's just
Has massive quads like a cyclist.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, big. Well, that's what it is. He's big into mathematics and leg day.
and leg day.
I just want to point out that freaking the mathematician class in Final Fantasy Tactics is stupid broke. So just
That's
real
true.
stupropically powerful.
Picture
So
almost
math power.
I totally
knock it
picture
till you try
Doctor
it.
Strange with just equations in the air.
A Krogan
Yes.
with all
I
the
know
talk
the
of quads.
answer.
You're Russell Crowe in A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Sketching protractors and roads.
All right, so
I just want to.
His weapon is a big
It's a
protractor sword.
it was just a measuring stick, measuring tape whip. And
Oh man.
Oh, no.
man.
And we desecrated his remnants.
then,
Used
at
to
the
be a
very end
math
of it, it's always
teacher.
staying cool, kids. It's always a message, doing those G.I. Joe PSAs.
Yep.
All right,
Pork chop
Harbinger,
sandwiches.
I'm a computer.
your influence.
All the download.
Oh my god, it's Buzz Lightyear.
Every member of your team has the power to change the future, your future. Give everyone influence over you.
Hooray.
Oh, so everyone. So there's a lot of
It's a
influence
love
going around
it.
this
Oh,
table.
yeah.
This is great.
Well, I know everybody here is very, very important for how things are going to turn
Yeah.
out. So
Yeah, these are the ones.
they're in the books. They're in
Yeah.
the history books.
And finally, our delinquent.
You care way more than you let on. Give 3 teammates influence over
Oh
you.
wow! So you
Oh, wow.
all are emotionally invested in each other.
Just become a
whoa.
soap opera.
Yeah,
A little bit.
Yeah.
Breaker
maybe.
high.
yeah, into it.
Breaker sky high.
Wow, Breaker High. That's one I have not heard of in a very, very long time.
So yeah, you're the only one who doesn't have influence over me, and then
Yeah.
all the rest of us basically have influence over.
That's okay.
The rift begins. the
no.
weak link in the chain where the
There it
schism
is.
will
That's
be.
where you go wrong.
That's it. That was it. It was that lack of influence.
Why won't Senpai notice me?
I'll show them all. And that heart on your chest goes black. And it never changes
and it
again.
cracks.
You just go.
You suffer some hard blow to that, and it cracks, and you're like, and you turn. It's your moment of turning.
Yeah. yeah.
You branch out on your own and become solo.
No, I was gonna say it deep into the soul patch.
Oh no.
Oh no, we need
Even worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
we need another artist, not me. We need another artist out there to write the comic.
There we are. Heart of the soul. So the we have you got some choices here for your moves. We don't have to if you want to just check them off real quick and tell me what they are. Everyone's got like slightly different rules for how your moves are. Some are chosen in advance. You get one and you only checking another. So just read and it'll say in parentheses how many you're picking, and then just check it off. And don't overthink it because they're all awesome. And some will give you probably help lean you towards that play style you were hoping for. I know the Beacon wants to be less combat oriented, so there's definitely going to be moves there that are dealing more with engaging with people and talking and provoking and influencing over using brute force. And once anyone has any, just in any order, just let me know what you picked.
With Masshole,
Yeah.
I picked you haven't learned you can do that yet. When you tell a teammate about a new, never before performed trick that they've never considered, spend a team from the pool to allow them to unleash their powers, directly engage a threat, or defend someone using your superior as if it was their label. Any costs or complications from their move affect you as well.
Cool.
So essentially that can be like, oh, no, listen, I know you don't think you can do this, but believe me, you can do this. Sort of thing.
Yes, so your spoiler alert.
Yeah, basically.
Actually, that would have been a great name for your hero. Harbinger instead of Masshole, just be spoiler alert. You just go wear a big exclamation mark as your uniform.
Yeah. My second move I'm choosing is 21st Century Studies. When you assess the situation, you may always ask, quote, what does the future know about this moment? Even on a miss, you take +1 ongoing to act on the answers. So it's going to be putting you in this on the spot there, Justin.
Yeah, well, and you've painted a really clear picture that this is a distant future that kind of looks back at this time the way we look back at the Roman Empire.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of misinformation too. So it'll be like, what does the future know about this? Oh, well, CDs were obviously used as a sustainable food source. Cracker discs.
and digital music came along, and there was a great famine of CDs.
Yeah, people liked to ingest their music.
Cool. I've got mine ready. So for my delinquent moves, I have Mary Contrary. When someone tries to pierce your mask, comfort or support you, or provoke you, you can interfere. Roll superior. On a hit, they take -2 on their roll. On a 10+, you also take influence over them or clear a condition. On a miss, they get a 10+, no matter what they rolled, and you mark a condition of your choice. So I can like manipulate people and stuff quite well, but then like if it fails, like I'm not emotionally balanced and I don't know how to handle that. So I just kind of like falter to it.
Yeah.
I have Criminal Mind. When you assess the situation, you can always ask one of the following questions, even on a miss. What here is useful or valuable to me? How could I best infuriate or provoke this person? And what's the best way in or way past?
Yeah. So you can just like, what's the best way? Well, you could pants them. No, curse you, Wes!
But it's also like knowing how to like shit on people and like, infuriate or provoke them and just like
Yeah,
try
like,
and get like my
could
way.
you have created an exit that didn't destroy
Exactly.
Quad's original uniform? Yes.
Yeah.
But this was more fun this way because now no one's going to forget that you were the one that rescued them.
Oh yeah.
By doing that thing.
By doing that thing, by erasing a priceless relic of the founding of the city.
And lastly, I have Are You Watching Closely? When you mislead, distract, or trick someone, you get your roll plus superior. On a hit, they are fooled, at least for a moment. On a 10+, choose 3. On a 7 to 9, choose 2 of the following things. You get an opportunity, you expose a weakness or flaw, you confuse them for some time, or you avoid further entanglement. On a miss, you're hopelessly embroiled in it and under pressure. Mark a condition.
Okay. And the last two players.
You want to go? Go ahead.
Sure. Okay. So I chose no powers and not nearly enough training. You're always picking up new gear to keep yourself in the game. Whenever you pick up a new piece of gear, you can write it in as a new ability if this line is empty. They gave me a little line on the sheet. The first time you use each piece of gear to directly engage a threat, unleash your powers, or defend someone, you can roll plus mundane instead of the normal label.
Cool.
So I'm always like picking up, just like, oh, here's a new like.
Yeah, here's a landmine.
Just flying around.
Here's a new kind of smoke bomb. It's way more like
yeah, exactly.
way more effective than the last one. Like, wow, it's
Yeah,
so
you're
cool.
picking
And
off
just
like
picking
things
up,
that the villains are dropping in the fights. And you're like, oh, I'm going to use them against them.
Man,
Yeah.
that'd
Yeah,
be
turn
awesome.
it away.
Yeah.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I also picked Won't Let You Down. When you help a teammate, you can spend 2 out of the team pool to add +2 to their roll.
Awesome. Wholesome. And then there's this bit at the bottom. What's that for? There's an additional section of moves. I can't see it too clearly
Oh,
from here.
drives?
Yeah.
Am I the only person who gets these?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're unique to the beacon.
Oh, okay. So drives. Choose 4 drives to mark at the start of play. When you fulfill a marked drive, strike it out and choose one. Mark potential, clear a condition, take influence over someone involved.
So drives help give you a leg up to make up for the fact that you don't have powers like the rest of them. It gives you something to go towards. So it's like, oh, I can't really help this because I can't teleport and move and fly and do all that kind of stuff. Look to the drives instead, and they can give you something to do when you're up on that floating island and you're just Hawkeye with a bunch of arrows going, I don't know what to do. Oh, I'll save someone. And then that allows you to generate experience potential, potentially at a faster rate than other players.
Yeah.
To help you get you stronger and more up to being on the same level as the rest of them, because that's the beacon is always kind of one step behind, right? Just because of their disadvantage of not having innate powers.
Yeah. So this is interesting as well, right underneath that. When your 4 marked drives are all struck out, choose and mark 4 new drives. When all drives are struck out, change playbooks, retire from the life, or become a paragon of the city.
Yeah.
So that's like, if I clear every single one of these on the list, I get to like
You get to
change
you get to
into-
become a
yeah.
hero, right? And at this point, like the beacon is Robin, but Batman isn't a beacon, right? Like
Yeah.
Batman doesn't have any powers, but he's so accomplished that it doesn't matter anymore, right? And you can transfer into another playbook, and you can be a legacy or a protege or any of those things, right? That also you still don't have powers,
Yeah.
but you're not defined as a beacon anymore,
Yeah.
right?
So that's cool. So I got to. There's a lot of very interesting
So
ones
you're
here.
the one that gets like little mini quests
Yeah.
that you can check off.
This is
So you don't
kinda
even have to. No, you don't even have to tell us what you're picking either, right? Just go ahead and select those on
right.
your time, and then when they're checked off, you can tell me I did this, and I go, "Good job."
I just want to read a couple of these because I think some
sure.
of these are really, really funny. So one of them says make out with a teammate.
Wisp, you ready?
It's just like what? But like, a lot of these are really standard. It's like lead the team successfully in battle, take down a threat all on your own, get a new costume.
I mean, Robin is always macking it up with someone, especially when in Teen Titans it's Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Then like that he is just a playboy. It is just.
All right. Anyway, I'm gonna choose 4 of these, and
Okay,
we'll
great.
get back to that.
And then last, we have our Janice. You get power moves too.
I do. I picked Game Face. When you commit yourself to save someone or defeat a terrible enemy, mark a condition and take +1 ongoing to all rolls in direct pursuit of that goal. At the end of any scene in which you don't make progress towards that goal, mark a condition. When you fulfill your goal, mark potential. Mm-hmm. And
So
then,
it's like, playing into Spider-Man's trauma all the time.
yeah, I could do this.
I can do this. I can do this. I can save them all. I can save Gwen. Nope. Damn. Condition.
Oh, the hand web is so dumb. Mild-mannered is the next one. When you try to use your civilian identity to deceive, trick, or slip past someone, roll plus mundane. On a hit, they buy your facade. On a 7 to 9, choose one. You're still under observation. You leave something incriminating behind. You force to make a fool of yourself to sell it. Or to sell it, yeah. On a miss, one of your civilian obligations rears its ugly head.
Okay. And that concludes it. We're done. We did it.
Yeah, that's
Hey,
it.
we did it.
So one thing to remember when we are doing it, I can't always promise that I will catch it. Whenever you miss a roll, every single time you miss a roll, you always mark potential. This is a kind of a cool game where you gain experience by failing.
There we go.
And whenever you get 5 potential, you gain an advancement. And I want to hand this stuff out all the time. So if you're failing rolls, that's kind of like, it sucks in the moment, but it's good in the long run because it means you're going to be leveling up faster.
Gotcha.
There are other ways to gain potential that can just be granted, but for the most part, they are almost always given when you miss a roll. And then between episodes, you don't have to read them out, but have a look at your moment of truth and your team moves. Moment of truth is something you'll have to unlock after you get your first advancement, if you choose to. I would say do that because it's a really good moment to have in the podcast. And the team moves are whenever you share in triumphant celebrations with another team member. Just read about that. You wouldn't necessarily have to read that out loud. You could just have a scene and play into it and go like, it worked, I got it. And then you can just tell us what happened. But those are little things here. So next week, all 4 of you are returning to Phoenix Academy for the winter semester, and we will. We got our teacher with Mr. Amos, and we've got a Silver Wolf chip on the shoulder. We got some parents. We got some Doom. We've got some Dark Matter Hurricanes to work out. So I'm going to connect all these dots. We're going to work out what that story is going to be in the next episode, part 2 of our run through masks this month. Until we meet again, I have been your Game Master Justin Ecock, surrounded by my heroes, new and old.
Leon Weinstein,
And who are you playing?
playing as Wisp.
Adam Luker here, playing Massel.
Neil Tavares as the Boomerang Kid.
Cassidy 20 Love Chew playing Soul.
See you next time, everyone. Be good to each other. Bye.
Doodles.
The Terrible Warriors has new episodes out every Tuesday, and next week we return with our campaign of masks for the month of December. As we mentioned, this game was chosen by you, our Patreon supporters. Head over to terriblewarriors.com/Patreon and look at this month's poll and let us know which game we should be playing next. Support of any amount gives you access to the polls, but if you want to hear what the character creation was like for this game, you'll want to listen to our pre-gaming chat that we've also posted on our Patreon page for anyone at the $5 or higher level. Patreon.com/Terrible Warriors is where you can find out more. You can follow us on Twitter at Dice Warriors, and Masks, A New Generation is published by Magpie Games. Check out the show notes for a link to the page. Buy the game yourself. Let them know the Terrible Warriors sent you. And your Terrible Warriors, who are going to put on their mask for the first time. They are Cassie Chui, Adam Luker, Neil Tavares, Leon Weinstein, and Game Master Justin Ecock. And we'll see you next time for our next chapter in Masks, A New Generation, right here on the Terrible Warriors.